Clockwork Orange, that's a wicked name. Honestly, I'd say I'm more of a DJ than a promoter. I love music, I always have done, I've always DJ'd.
Yeah, and you can definitely get a crowd going. So what year was Clockwork Orange born with you and Danny?
Launched on the 23rd of Jan 1993. The big change was when we were on Ibiza Uncovered, and that just took it stratospheric. We were crazy, you know, we were literally having just crazy parties. We wouldn't come out for like 2 days. The problem I had was I only discovered that a year and a half ago.
What, that you've been overcooking it too long?
I've kind of taken drugs my whole adult life, probably. Unfortunately, with that whole thing, you don't really realise that you're in it until you're out of it. I probably went over that line many, many years ago. You've just gone and f***ed it all again. What have you done?
Quick one, guys. I'll be recording Eventful Lives live on stage this year at EMC 2025, the Entrepreneurs Marketing Conference, and it's going to be a banger. We've never done this before, so watch this space. We're taking the podcast out of the studio and into a room with 800 real business owners at an event designed to give you practical, tactical marketing strategies that you can actually implement into your own business to get results. The lineup's massive. Google is speaking, Facebook too, and I'm also going to be bringing a special guest with me. It's all happening on the 19th and 20th of September at Tobacco Dock in London. Tickets are £145 plus VAT, and the price will also be increasing soon. So if you run a business and want to be in the room and see me and the Eventful Lives podcast live on stage, then head over to www.emc2025.com and use the code DODGE20 if you want to get 20% off your ticket. I'll see you there, guys. Andy, welcome to the show,
Hi, mate. We finally got it on.
We finally got it on.
I know. It's taken a while.
Last time we hooked up, we were back in Ibiza last summer.
Yes.
That was an amazing party.
I know, it was incredible, wasn't it?
It was like literally incredible. We'll go and talk about that a bit later.
Yeah.
But let's roll all the way back. When was the first time you ever went to Ibiza?
So, as far as I think it was, the first time I went was with parents on a holiday to Escanar, which is on the north side. I think it was 1982.
Oh, okay.
So I was about 12.
Yeah.
So long time ago.
Yeah. And so what was it like for you? Listen, you're in the music world, you're a DJ, you're a promoter, you've put on a festival, you put on loads, hundreds and hundreds of parties all around the country. What was it for you when you were sort of growing up? You looked at it and went, do you know what? I actually do want to become a DJ. I do want to become a promoter. I do want to get into the music world.
The thing is, the way I got into this whole sort of business as such, I mean, it kind of went back to childhood. So I was heavily into music from a very early age. So I was always in like playing instruments and stuff like that. But what's kind of happened was when I was about 14, I discovered by pure luck, really, I suppose, that I had an Amstrad stereo. And what I discovered was that if I played the tape at the same time as the record, I could mix. And I literally just came across this. I was like, what? Anyway, I remember the two tracks where it was Derek B, Bad Young Brother, and Nitro Deluxe. And I worked out that I could like mix the vocal over the track.
Yeah.
And it was kind of by default, really. And then I sort of started like really becoming interested in this whole process of like trying to mix two records together. And it sort of went from there, really. I mean, the big change for me was probably in the late sort of 80s when obviously the acid house exploded. And that was it. Then it was kind of like became part of my life, and that was really what I mean it all happened by sort of chance. I mean, nothing happens by chance, but we when I started out, I used to work for NatWest, and I wanted to do parties, so I kind of started. The first ever event I did was with one of my best mates, Anthony Buckner, and we did a little sort of party at a rugby club in near where I live in over Essex way, and it kind of went from there, really. It was just a gradual thing, and then I did another one, and then I got big boots on and tried to do a party in the old paddocks, which is where Clockwork had its first actual event, actually. Anyway, so I organised this event with all the Naked Lunch DJs, because we used to go down to Naked Lunch.
What's Naked Lunch?
It was an event in a club called Drizz, which, funny enough, where I met Danny.
Okay.
So it was where we used to go every week. It was like the pilgrimage of of that time. And it was Lawrence Nelson, all the guys, and I did an event, and we booked the paddocks, did it all, And the bomb went off. It was the night the bomb went off in the city. And so I'm standing there thinking like, you know, where is everyone sort of thing? And it literally, there was all fire engines go. It was just like carnage. I'm like, oh my God, literally about 4 people could get to it because they put like a ring of steel around London.
Yeah.
And that was it really. And then basically Clockwork was born.
Yeah. So what year was Clockwork Orange born with you and Danny?
So the story goes, so this is how I met Danny. So Naked Lunch again. So one of my mates, Michael, who's a very good friend of mine, said to me, "Oh, he goes, you never guess what's happening." He goes, "I was in Naked Lunch on Saturday. Some fella ran up to me and went, take these pills off me." And then he basically got bundled out by security sort of thing. So he goes, "Oh, we're going to go and meet him up at Hollywood's," because he hangs out at Hollywood's. Yeah. So went up to Hollywood's. Now this is my first ever meeting with Danny. It's just like carnage wherever we always went. And so gets into Hollywood. So he's like, "All right, mate." So I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So he's like, "Do you want a drink?" So I'm like, "Yeah, all right then." So anyway, he literally leans over the bar, grabs a bottle of vodka or something like that, and he started. The next thing we know, Tony Tucker and all the boys, bosh, like and I'm literally sitting outside, I'm like, what the fuck, man? So literally, my first meeting with Danny was getting chucked out of Hollywood's. And then it sort of went from there. So there was originally 4 of us involved.
Who were the other 2?
A guy called Michael Munn, who's still a good friend of mine. Yeah. Another guy called Andy Blumpson.
Is he still a good friend?
I don't see him nowhere near, like not for a long while, to be fair, no. And
so what year are we talking? We're talking 93?
It was kind of, 92, we were talking about it.
Okay.
And then what we said is, we want to do some parties. So I was like, well, let's get that Danny geezer involved because he knows absolutely everyone. You know, he's the king of Hollywood's. Like, he's literally, everyone knows Danny. You know, he was like the face of, you know, if Towie had been going back in them days, 100% he would have been on it. So that was it, really. So we sort of said to him, "Do you want to come and we're going to try and do some events? Do you want to get involved?" And he was a bit like, I don't know, really. I'm not sure. Anyway, so we kind of twisted his arm, and then we went up to London. I remember we went up to Soho, and we were trying to come up with a name. So he was going in all these different, like they serve all these photographic shops where they sold all stills from the films. And we all went into this shop and we were having a little sort of look for all these different cars. And I can't remember who did now. Someone pulled out the card with the false teeth in the glass. Yeah. And we all just looked at each other and went, "Clockwork Orange, that's a wicked name." And it kind of, that was it. And then it was born. And then we launched on the 23rd of Jan, 1993.
Fantastic. Some career of throwing the parties over the 30 odd years.
Oh mate, I mean, look,
amazing.
We've done. I mean, it's incredible, really. Yeah. I mean, we had that big break in between.
Yeah. So when you started in 93, it was like 4 lads having a laugh, throw some parties. Let's see if we can take the door money. They take the bar money. Yeah. Go to nightclubs when they're probably less busy. Yeah. What is there a number of nights that really stood out in your mind in the 90s when you went, you know what? As we're progressing in our, you would have been 20 odd then.
Yeah, I mean,
as you were progressing, you go, "I want to get that club. I want to get that club." Was there a residency, or do you just throw in different parties in different clubs? We
were really lucky because when we kind of started out, obviously 93, we went to Ibiza in 94, and
to throw parties or
for a party? So I used to work for Nat West, and I spoke to Blocko and said, "Oh, we really want to do parties in Ibiza," and he was like, "Well, I'll put you in touch with Miss Bisto or Clara de Costa, she's now known, and she was running the S Paradis." Yeah. So I sent her a fax from Nat West. She still got it, I believe. And then we literally me and Danny flew out to Ibiza in May, went and met Pepe. Yeah. Sat down with him. I mean, this is how mad it was.
The owner of Pepe's, the owner of Mambo's, and
that's Pepe S Paradis.
S Paradis, sorry,
yeah, that's Javier.
Yeah, Javier, yeah.
But this is how mad it was then. So this was 93. And I remember we were sitting in Cat Vidal Mall waiting to meet Miss Bisto, Claire, and there was no one in there. Yeah. It was literally middle of May, and it was dead, you know, way before all the Mambos didn't even exist then. Yeah. So we went and met Pepe, and we basically said, "Look, we really want to put on some events. We're going to bring some DJs over from England." And he was sort of like, "Okay, you start in July."
Off you go.
And so I went home, handed in my notice. Yeah. Got a bollocking from my dad's like, "You're going to throw your life down the toilet." You know, and I'm like, "But I want to do it, Dad. I'm going to go. I want to go and, you know, I've got to do it," sort of thing. And, it just kind of slowly started gaining traction with the night was getting more and more popular.
Yeah.
The big change was when we were on Ibiza Uncovered.
Yeah. And
that just took it stratospheric, because I think we was averaging I don't know, about 1,500 a week at Es Paradis. That was 96.
Yeah.
And
what was the cap?
I mean,
official cap.
Oh God, back in them days,
yeah,
they
you
used
just
to go
squeeze them all in.
I mean,
yeah.
3.6 was our biggest, but you literally couldn't move in there. And that came out. I remember that came out at the end of August, and literally the following week, it was just bonkers.
Yeah,
we were up to like 2.5, 3, and that was it then.
Just explain for the listener, because I love Es Paradis Club.
Yeah.
Explain to the listener what Es Paradis Club, how you would describe it.
So it's designed like I suppose you could say it's like a Roman Colosseum, with a big center ring, pillars going all the way around it. It's got a retractable roof.
Yeah.
So the roof comes down and it's full of live foliage and all trees and stuff like that. And it's just not one of, probably is the most beautiful venue you could ever go in. Yeah.
Isn't it funny, that you're talking about that sort of that Roman feel, where that centre bit there, where the stairs are going up like that, so people are dancing on stages and steps. It's beautiful.
We forgot one most important thing. It fills up with water as well.
Does that fill water, does it?
Yeah, so they've got fountains that, they don't really do it as much now, but it literally, that in the centering, it fills up, so it gets a bit messy though.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you know what was lovely about it? You did your first party in '94, and the party last summer, 2024, 30 years you've been throwing parties at Es Paradis Club in Ibiza.
I know.
Brilliant.
And that last year, I think we had this conversation. Yeah. That was the closest, I've got good way of saying it, the closest I've ever got to experiencing what we did back in the 90s.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Just, here we go. Look,
yeah, mate.
Look at that.
Yeah, mate.
Hey?
Mate, I get it. I was there. I was buzzing. I was like, my God, I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
It was the crowd.
I know.
The crowd was amazing. The music was amazing. The club was amazing.
Yeah.
What time did you open? You opened in the afternoon, didn't you? And it closed.
Yeah,
what time did it close? We all left there at.
I think we started about 4, and it finished at midnight. So
and then we went on another club.
We did a little afters at Eden.
Eden, that's right.
Yeah.
So roll back 93, 94. How many summers did you do on the bounce there? So
we started in 93. We went up to, we was running up until 2000.
Yeah.
It was all getting a bit mucky then. We were just completely off the rails, the pair of us. The big thing that happened was this. I don't know if you ever read about the trademarking issue. And what basically happened was we got offered to do Amnesia, and we were like a bit like, oh no, we want to stay at Es Paradis. But then what happened was, all of a sudden there was, unbeknownst to us, there was this guy from Benidorm. And he'd gone and literally trademarked all of the big nightclubs logos without them realising. So I mean, like, it was us, God's Kitchen, Money Pennies, everyone, Cream. We got to Ibiza in, I think it was 2001, and there were court papers waiting for us at Es Paradis. Like, what's all this about?
Yeah.
Went to court, and they're basically like, you don't own the name. And we're like, well, we do own it. We've owned it for many years anyway. Cut long story short, the fella had just literally taken a copy of Mixmag and taken a photocopy of the logo and trademarked it. So they were like, you can't use the name. And we're like, but we own it. And I remember being in front of like a judge, just going, look, I get this, but you can't, if you use it, the police will turn up and stop the night. So we were like, fuck, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we get this call from someone connected to this fella. Oh yeah, if you want to use your brand this year, it's going to pay. You're going to pay us $40,000.
You tell them to do one.
Yeah. So we're like, fuck you, sort of thing. So what we had to do was, we were like, well, we had to change the name and call it the Orange Summer of Love. And it was a disaster because people couldn't connect with it. They didn't know what it was.
So this was the year, like 2000, 2001 you're talking about?
Yeah.
This is when the .com come about, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you have the website address then?
No, we could never. Obviously, the .com was taken
for the movie.
Well, you say that, but if you to search it, nothing comes up for it.
Okay. Did you ever have the fear of going, oh, we're using Clockwork Orange, they're going to be on our case?
We did. Well, look, we trademarked it. Believe it or not, the only people that kicked off about it was Orange Phones. They tried to stop us. But we never got anything from the film. I mean, we did use some early imagery of the film, but to be fair, it was just the name.
Yeah.
And it's what can you connect to it that we do. But no, never had any issues.
So this fella in Benidorm's gone on there, trademarked all these things. I can't imagine Cream, James Barton, I can't imagine Money Pennies and all that lot just taking it on the chin going, okay.
No, they didn't, but they spent a bloody lot of money
fighting him.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of grands. But we weren't in a position to do that.
Yeah, okay.
That's the thing. You know, we were literally young kids having a great time in Ibiza.
Tell me what happened to that fella. Did he claw any money off anyone to use the name? Was it just in Ibiza that he wasn't allowed to use it? Do you know?
I mean, I do believe that some people did some deals with him.
Okay.
The mad thing is, this is how dodgy the fella was. He had a bar in Benidorm, sorry, called Harrods, and it had the logo without the H on it. It was literally like he was just the king of scams,
Blag.
you know. Oh God, yeah.
Proper blagger. Was he English?
No, Spanish.
No, Spanish was he?
Harrods. Harrods, I know.
That's actually genius, in fact, isn't it? Tell me, 93, 94, you've handed your notice, you've gone, right, I'm going Ibiza. At that age, and the excitement of Ibiza and the colour and the girls and the people and the environment and the copious amounts of drugs in Ireland, what was going through your world? Because you weren't thinking, I want to turn this into a proper business. You're probably thinking, no, I'm throwing a couple of parties, I'm going to go and have a right laugh with my best mate down here and off we go.
Yeah.
What was your lifestyle like between 93 and 2000?
Mad. Absolute mad. We were literally we were like 23 when we got to Ibiza, and we were just on a 5-month holiday or whatever, however long we was out there.
Yeah.
And it was, at the start, it was just, we were running parties, having a great time and living the life of Riley.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it got gradually, I mean, I remember the first year we went there, like, drugs weren't really a big thing. It was more like, we were just happy to be in Ibiza.
Yeah.
You know, obviously drugs and drink were in the mix, but the later years was when it got heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But,
so in your later years, in terms of 93, 94, 95, it's all fun, 96 fun, and then you got deeper and deeper into partying whilst out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, unfortunately, like what we do brings all that kind of stuff with it. But we were crazy, you know. We were literally having just crazy parties. It was days on end of, like, I remember, like, on the. We used to have our parties on a Wednesday night, so we'd go back to the villa, call on a load of gear and that, and we wouldn't come out for like 2 days. Yeah. We'd literally we lock ourselves in, and then all the workers are coming up because we were supposed to be paying everyone's wages, and then all of a sudden we're looking out and there's like people going, like, tapping on the gates, going, "Can we get our wages?" And we're like, oh, it was just it was mad. It was a rock and roll lifestyle. It really was. Yeah. It was just bonkers. I mean, I tell people stories about. And they look at me like, "Shut up, man, you took chatting shit." Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was.
Where did the nickname Mankey come from?
Another friend of mine who, it's going to sound really good. His nickname is Bugle Si. You couldn't do the maths on that one. So we were just down at Mambo's. It just opened one day, and I think they'd all been spaced, and I didn't go. And he's just come back, and he's just grabbing hold of me, going, Mankey, but I think it was more the state he was in, and it just stuck. Literally, that's it. Everyone just started calling me Mankey, and it came from 94 Ibiza. That was where it was born.
Tell me some of the maddest parties you've been to in Ibiza over the years.
In what sense, like Clockworks or
any party? I'll tell you, let's start with Clockworks.
I mean, the one that really sticks out for me was. We had Jeremy Healy. He was our resident one year, and it was like in the days when he was like #1 DJ. It was a big thing, to get him. Yeah. And we did a night with him, and I think that was the record. I think that was when we broke the record, and he basically played all night. And I just remember
what club?
Esperity.
Yeah, okay.
I remember he was playing, and it was just absolutely heaving in there, just going off. And he dropped Want to Be Starting Something, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, quality.
And the whole place was just going, Mama Said, and then the water come on. And everyone was just going. I just took a look at Danny and went, "Fucking hell!" I was like, "Don't get it." It was just like we've just looked at each other and just watched this madness of just people just crazy, like the water was flying about, and it was just wow. You know what I mean?
What clubs in Ibiza really stand out for you? Apart from this parody,
I mean, look, my Space,
absolutely.
You know, the original Space. Lucky enough to DJ there quite a lot, but that was just like magic. What I mean, and the old terrace as well. I'm not talking about when it changed over. I'm talking about what it used to be like in 94, because it was just, we literally lived for Sunday.
Yeah, same.
I mean, our Wednesday was Clockwork, but all we were waiting for was for Sunday to get to Space.
How good was it?
It was just
not a phone in sight.
And
everyone just loving it. It was just,
It wasn't even that busy though, was it? That's the mad thing. You know, when it first started, there was probably about 300-400 people in there.
Yeah.
And look, I
quite liked it like that.
Yeah.
That's that 300-400 crowd of everyone just been round the clock and they're back in there on the Sunday.
Yeah. And it was all mates. It was all workers. It was very like underground, wasn't it? Very underground. And then you had the mad inside where it was like flashing strobe lights and freezing cold. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
You used to walk in there and it'd be like, oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, it was, mate, just incredible times. I mean, look, I love all the clubs out there. Amnesia, Pasha. I used to love El Divino.
That was lovely, wasn't it? Used to get a boat there as well.
Yes.
Get a boat there and turn up, remember?
Yeah.
El Divino, what was that now?
It's Leo now.
Leo, that's right.
But yeah, no, like all of them really. They're all in their own way. They're very special.
Yeah. Have you ever got yourself into trouble out in Ibiza?
Yeah.
Go on.
I was thinking about it because you was going to ask me this. Oh God, I mean, I got so. This is the thing. What, like, I could go on for days for stories, but I'm trying to pick the ones that won't like incriminate us, sort of thing. But I mean, look, I had the first year we were there. I came out of privilege, or coup it was at the time, and I was literally absolutely off my canister. And I was like, yeah, great, I'll drive home. Anyway, next thing, I've woke up in the middle of the road. The car's upside down. I've no idea how I got out. I don't know if I got thrown out. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. So I'm like literally, so I thought, right, I'll run off. Only thing to do in it. So I've run down the road, and then I've got the car key still in my hand. So next when the Guardia pulled up, just grabbed me and gone like, dickhead, like started like. So they took me up to this like I don't know if it was I don't think it was a police station. It was like a kind of a holding sort of area. Left me in the car for about 3 hours. Like, I was literally like punch, like black eyes. They were just digging me and all that. And then went to court, because you go court literally same day out there. There's no like you get in a trial. You say anyway. Sent me off packing. I was like, mate, I said, I'm on medication. Just come up with as much bullshit as I could. And then it gets better though. So obviously I've got away. Well, I thought I got away with it. So the following year, lost my passport, which was probably a standard thing. Going into the airport, I was going back to do a gig. Next thing, they're like, hang on a sec, tap my name. And they went, wait a sec, please come out, put handcuffs on me. So I'm like, what? And they're like, you've got a warrant out for drink driving, and I've basically hit a wall, a tree, a lamp, like knocked over, like loads of shit. So literally, before I know it, I'm in a cell in Ibiza prison. No one knows I'm in there. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be coming home to do this gig at the Cross. Literally, people are waiting for me. Where's Mankey? You know what I mean? And I'm like, next thing I know, I'm in a cell. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, then it's Sunday and I'm still in the cell, and I'm like, oh, everyone's in space today. What is going on? So, so they finally let me out on the Monday, and with a massive bill to pay for all the damage. But listen, we could go on for days about all these crazy. Yeah. I'm sure Danny said a few of his bad ones. Yeah.
So tell me, you're out there, you're doing seasons out there. When you're coming back, tell me the parties you were throwing back in London or around the country.
So we tended to kind of steer clear of the summer because we wanted to spend it all in Ibiza. Yeah. But we were doing parties when we were like becoming, getting bigger in the sort of 95, 96, we used to do Cannon Palace.
Yeah.
The Cross was our home.
Yeah.
That was our spiritual home. And
another cracking venue.
yeah, like what was Malibu Stacey Club in it was just off Oxford Street. We did parties there. Raw, Maximus. So anything we could kind of get our hands on, really.
And was it a proper business, or were you still two mates throwing parties, taking door money, and just living?
It was a fucking free for all.
Yeah.
Because Danny was just like, I remember like, we didn't even have a bank account.
Yeah.
I don't think for about 3 years. And I said to Danny, like, we need to get a bank account. He went, why? You know what I mean? Because then it was all cash.
It's all cash.
Yeah. Like literally, I mean, we're going in shops and like New Year's Eve party we done, and they were, mate, yeah, you got to come and get some of this money. I'm like, well, how much you got? He's like, I've got 30 grand. I'm like, what? And Danny was like, very like, fuck tax, fuck everything. And I remember once I said, we got to pay tax. Well, I'm paying tax. And I had a load of money in front of me. He went, I'm just having my half. You can sort it out. And I was like, what? But like I said, it was just, the pair of us were just like, didn't really, I mean, so we don't have business acumen, but we were just having loving fun. Life. And and that was what it was like then.
Yeah.
I mean, it only changed really like after we came back.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we had a bank account and we did pay tax, but it was just, we were young boys living the dream, and it was just crazy, you know.
So how many years were you doing it before you took the break? And how long was the break for?
So we look, 2001, it was all starting to go a little bit bandy. Danny was absolutely off the scale with just his drugs and alcohol and all the stuff like that. With the loss of the name, that was a massive factor. Yeah. But what kind of happened was we were kind of, the music was changing. So it was around that time when it was getting quite garage, and it was either going garage or progressive. We didn't move with the times basically because we just thought it was going to last forever. Yeah. And it just started to become harder and harder, and we were putting on events, and where we were like smashing 2,500, 3,000, we were like maybe struggling to get 1,000. Yeah. And it was just becoming a bit like, and I was DJing all over the world then. I was really, really busy, and I had gigs everywhere. And then all of a sudden I started noticing that regular events I had on were stopping. Yeah. It was like the scene was almost kind of just really like, I think kind of what's happened now, to be fair, where it got so big, I think it was overkill, and things started like people stopped going out, and all of a sudden I was gone from having like, you know, like gigs every week to one a month. Yeah. And at that time it was like my career. I wasn't earning nowhere near the money out of Clockwork to like live on. Yeah. And then Danny was just off the, you know, he was off the scale. He was just, he was missing, he wouldn't turn up for meetings, and he was so bang on it. It got to a point where he was just like, I don't want to do it no more. And I'm like, well, okay. So he kind of said like, I'm out. You know, and then it was around the time of his when he was starting on his journey on sobriety. Yeah. So I tried to carry it on my own, but it was just never the same. I don't know what it is, but it's the magic of me and him together that works. Yeah. Now I did keep it going for a bit, and it was okay, but it's just something that it's if he's not involved and us together, it's just not the same. Yeah. And so it sort of. So it petered out around 05, 06. Yeah. I was doing still quite well out of my DJing, so that was all right. But again, I had to sort of like think, well, I need a job here because I'm not nowhere near enough money. You know, the parties ain't happening no more. So then I kind of started working for a friend as a, I started off as a labourer for him, and then started doing carpentry work. And eventually I worked my way up to doing the job full time. And eventually I ended up becoming a site manager. Mm. So,
how was you? What about you? You know, we're talking about Danny. He was overcooking it, and it was you know, and he's been on the show. So, but you know, he's been on the show and told his story about overcooking it. Were you at a point where you were overcooking it as well?
Yeah, but the problem I had was I only discovered that a year and a half ago.
What, that you've been overcooking it too long?
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, I've kind of taken drugs my whole adult life probably, and unfortunately with that whole thing, you don't really realise that you're in it until you're out of it. And when it's fun, it's and the early days are great. It's fun, but when you cross that line, there's a line sort of that you go over, and I probably went over that line many years ago, but it was I hadn't accepted it. I didn't kind of oh God, how do I put this? I've just spent too many years like in this hole of like, and I'm not going to get me wrong, I'm not an everyday person. It was a weekend thing, but it took me till last January to finally work out that I had to stop and like everything,
So you're about 18 months clean now, are you?
16 this weekend.
Respect.
Thank you, mate.
Massive respect,
Thank you.
Massive respect.
It's been a mad journey, but it was just like, I mean, look, some things happened in my life that made me, like rock bottom basically. I'd split up with Jade, my girlfriend. I had this problem of like, I created this monster. I basically turned into this man that I was very sneaky and deceitful, and it all comes with not wanting anyone to really know what you're up to. Now, the mad thing is, if you see me on drugs, you can fucking tell I've had a line like literally 5 miles away. Yeah. So all this sneakiness and lying, but basically I've wanted to stop. I'd wanted to stop for many years, and I've tried many times. I've like literally probably, I mean, Danny had £1 for every time I rung him up and said I don't want to do it no more. Yeah. With about 58 quid or something. But it was with addiction. I think the problem is you, like, when you want to stop something, unless you've actually finally made up your mind that is, you're going to do it. And look, don't get me wrong, you have to make that, and you have to make that decision yourself. And it took me many years to finally accept that I needed help. Yeah. And the main thing is be accountable for my actions, because I've spent so many years basically hurting people. I'm not a nasty person, but the problem is that shit, man. It you don't give a fuck about anyone. Yeah. When you're in that world, you don't care about your loved ones. You don't care about the implications of what's going to happen the next day. And when you're in fluffy world and you're like, I think I shouldn't get that next one, but I've got to like get up in the morning or take my son football or do this, and you think, oh, fuck it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And until you get to that point where you accept that you've got, stuff that needs dealing with, and it fine. I mean, look, I had a mad night. I'd not been in a good place. My mental health weren't good. I'm ADHD as well. But I literally had a massive fallout with Jade, this is the problem, because when I used to take drugs, I beat myself up so badly. What, the next day? The next day, yeah, okay. The next week. Yeah. It would last for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It is awful, because I've created this almost this other person that loathes, I loathe, I'm guilty. It's all the things that come, and it was just, it got worse and worse and worse. And then what I would do, I'll take it out mentally on your closest, on all my closest, and my loved ones. Yeah. So any excuse that I could have, I would fire into Jade, or I'd be horrible. I'd say the wrong things. I'd say things I know that upset her, and it all come to literally a head. And I woke up on New Year's Day. We'd had an awful night. I'd ruined it again. I ate vodka, because that's the thing. It's when I go, it's like I end up drinking bottles of vodka. Yeah. Along with everything else. Well, yeah, but that's the end of the night, you know, and then I'm like blotto drunk, blackout, can't remember anything. That's when I wake up, what have I done? Yeah. And before she'd even kind of said to me, like, look, I can't deal with you no more. I was like, I sat in the front room, like, and I just literally was like, I can't do this shit no more. I can't do this. This is ruining my life. because whatever I do, I always end up back at the same point, because I stop for 4 or 5 months. But then slowly what happens is it's exactly the same pattern. I'll start with a glass of wine. And then it'll be 2 glasses, then 3, then down the pub, 3 pints, then it'll be a pinch.
Yeah.
Then it'll be a line, then it'll be sneakily buying it.
Yeah.
And I might say I'm getting 1, but I'll buy 3 and I'll keep 2 in my pocket, give 1 out to a few people.
Yeah.
And the problem is, man, I'm just greedy.
Yeah.
Whatever I do, it's in excess, and that was it. So I had to. I mean, look, we split up. We stayed in touch, but she was like, "Look, you need to go and find happiness because you're not happy.
Yeah.
You know, you are clearly, there's something not right. You're not happy. You're not in a happy place. You're not content with yourself." And she was right. And then so I rang. I mean, I was like, this is the thing. I had the perfect life, and this is what makes it even harder for me, that it was the first Christmas that I'd had with my 2 oldest kids from my previous marriage, my parents, and I sat there. I'm sitting at my mum's, like living back at my mum's, and I'm sitting there thinking, what have you done?
Yeah.
You know, why do you do these things? You've got the perfect life. You've got a beautiful girlfriend that adores the ground you walk on, would do anything for you. I've got 3 lovely children, like I'm including Albie, my stepson, in that.
Yeah.
I've got all my beautiful parents who get on amazingly with Jay's parents. You've just gone and fucked it all again by doing what you do.
Yeah.
And it was like, when are you going to learn? And that was basically it. And I rung Blocko and I said, Blocko, I need help. I said, I'm in trouble here, mate. I don't know what to do. Explain, obviously Brandon and me have spoke before many times, probably again saying, I told Brandon 28 times I'm going to quit. And he put me on to, he said, look, I'm going to put you in touch with my mate. And so Brandon said, look, I'm going to put you in touch with a guy called Sean McNicholas, who's a therapist. He's an ADHD expert, but he's a behaviour expert. And so Sean rings me that afternoon, says, oh, hi, Andy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I told him my story. And he was like, basically, Andy, you've just described me. And I've had kind of therapy before, I spoke to people, but I've never, ever, like this man, what he's done for me, he gets me. Yeah. And he took me on this mad journey. So he always said, look, he said, drink and drugs are not the problem. They're the mask.
Yeah.
There's an underlying problem that you've never dealt with.
I was just about to ask that. What was the underlying problem, do you think?
It was,
now you're clean and sober, looking back.
I had issues that I hadn't dealt with in my childhood.
Yeah, okay.
I created this. I'd become this very, very angry, bitter, selfish, all these negative things. And what the problem was the way he described it, you've got tolerance levels. Now, normal people's tolerance levels are there. Mine are that. I'm so highly strung, so it's called fight or flight.
Yeah.
So if you say something to me that I take everything probably with a negative twist to it, you might ask me a question. Well, like, oh, I'm gonna do a party next week, and you go, well, do you think it'll be busy? You haven't said it's going to be shit. Yeah. I'll take that as, what do you mean he's going to be fucking busy? I take it and I fight.
Yeah.
So I attack everything. Yeah. And this is basically what I'd become. And what he did, he basically went into I did this it was like a kind of a deep hypnosis. Didn't knock me out, but he went into my subconscious and he pulled things out, and it was mental. But he's taught me kind of techniques of rather than jumping straight onto something, you're like observing what people say and thinking about it. And it's been a crazy journey. I mean, he's a very good friend of mine now, because he's an incredible man.
But that's the power of listening. No one ever teaches you about the power of listening.
But we don't.
No one teaches you that, and the power of having a pause.
I'm having a pause now.
Same.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
And also the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is a little man on your shoulder talking to your brain. If you're aware of your subconscious mind, you become more powerful, because you know what decision you're going to make and what decision you're not going to make. But
Yeah.
to come through what you come through, and like he said, what I loved about it, he went, you mirrored me. I used to be that person.
Yeah.
And from your experience now, when you look back, what advice would you give to someone who is in your situation now, where they're getting frustrated, they're pissed off, they're doing lines when they shouldn't be doing lines, they're hiding in the toilet with their wife out there.
Yeah.
What advice have you got if they're at a point they're just like, I need help?
I mean, look, the first thing is you've got to look at your life, and is it becoming a problem? And I would say the main one, if you're doing it on your own, straight away, that's a red flag. If you have to do it every time you drink, and is it affecting your life? But only that, only the individual can make that decision on. But what I would say is a massive thing for me is communication. And when I've tried to do this many times, I've never wanted help. I can do it on my own. I don't need help. What I did discover, how important support and help is, and it's quite an incredible thing. I had a group of like Danny, Brandon, very good friend of mine, Paul Rosser, who I reached out to at the early stages, James Prentice.
Even just having Danny and Brandon as mentors in getting clean is powerful in itself, right?
Yeah. And going to and a big thing for me was, believe it or not, AA. I went to AA.
Have you done the 12 steps?
No. I don't go as much as I should. I haven't done it for a long while, but what I did get from it was now look, when I say AA here, I discovered that really the coke wasn't really my problem, it was the booze.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I'd never ever
but the booze triggers the coke.
Correct.
And then triggers the bad eating and triggers the bad decisions and triggers everything, right?
But I'd never stopped drinking. I always thought I could. I stopped drinking, but then I've tried everything. I stopped doing coke and doing pills, got myself in more trouble doing that. It's just crazy.
But you had more fun though, right?
But that was the thing. It was making that final decision that this has to stop and not leaving. And what a lot of people do is they leave doorways open. Yeah. So if you say you're going to stop, well, first things first, you need to accept that you might need some help. And it is great to reach out to as many people as possible. Go AA.
Is there a reason why you haven't done the 12 steps?
Not really. I did consider it, but I just haven't. No, I mean, there's no particular reason. Yeah. But like I said to you, I've not been going. I did a lot last year. I do feel like I'm in a really good place, and since last year was hard. It was a hard year because you go through a lot of different emotions, and you have these kind of you do get FOMO. You do feel like you're missing out, and there is times when, like, I always find clubs really easy because the clubs are kind of like work for me now. But what I used to really struggle with was more personal things. So a meal with Jade, having my parents up to stay, because we have a summer house and we used to have these crazy fucking parties in there. But now it's hard for me to be in that environment because, like, I'm getting better. But when you're kind of first doing it, it's really tough sometimes, and it's this. It's not even the physical want for it. Yeah. It's the mental,
the power
concerns.
Of the mind, isn't it?
Yeah, again. And you don't realise how, I mean, people do realise, but I've discovered how powerful this is.
Absolutely.
And I think where I was just on Planet Cuckoo Land most of the time, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But when I wanted to finally sort my problems out, and then when you get into it, you really do realise.
Tell me, let's go back to your DJing. Yeah. Tell me would you say you're more of a DJ or more of a promoter over the years? How would you introduce yourself as?
I mean, honestly, I'd say I'm more of a DJ than a promoter.
Yeah.
Just because I love music. I always have done. I've always DJ'd.
Yeah.
It just happens that
you can definitely get a crowd going.
Yeah.
100%. Tell me some of the clubs you've worked at, or countries you've DJ'd in, and sort of like the last sort of 30 years.
All over really. America, India, Australia, Hong Kong, Japan, South Africa, Colombia, Canada. I mean, literally many places all over Europe.
All house music.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we do obviously like Clockwork's getting quite a good Thailand. We just done New Year's Eve.
Lovely.
Clockwork's getting.
How was that party?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Party in Thailand. Yeah. Tell me about that. And then we'll go back to how Clockwork was getting bigger at the time.
We just got approached by the club in Thailand, and they were like, "We really want to do a New Year's Eve show."
Yeah.
And so we were like, Danny's like, "Do you want to go New Year's Eve for Thailand?" And I'm like, "Oh, all right then." You know what I mean? So we did the deal, and it sold out literally. I mean, they've had some big shows out there, and I think it was sold out by about the 10th of November.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, I love Thailand.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, I took my eldest two kids out there, Jade and Albie. So I had my family. So I had a lovely time, like doing the holiday, like, you know, the family stuff and that. But the gig was just, I mean, it's open air, fireworks going off at midnight. It was, it
looked amazing.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, mate.
Absolutely brilliant. And Carl, the guy that owns G, is just the best host on the planet. Yeah. Really looks after you.
Tell me about the Australia gigs you're doing when Blocko flew out,
Oh, God. Well, do you know what? We've done quite a few, so I'm just trying to think what ones, oh, God, I can't remember when Blocko was out there. But we did a tour last year. We covered Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Brisbane. Had a nice, it's lovely, 2 weeks out there, week in Byron Bay, which is, lovely. If you've not been, it's just the best.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. Did you got a nimbin?
No. We didn't really go out. Well, it was me, Brandon. That's the thing, because I was 3 months into being sober. So I've got the best two people in the world, Brandon and Danny. We had a fridge with some water in it. Brandon's like cashew nuts and all these just power foods he was buying and stuff like that. But I love Australia. Really, really lovely place.
And tell me, Japan. What's it like playing Japan?
It was, I mean, look, they're different, but fanatical, crazy people that just love it, you know. It's the culture's so different to like anywhere else you go.
It's like being in year 4000 Japan, isn't it?
But do you know what the funny thing was? It was a long time ago. I went. I think it was about 98, 99. I went, and I remember going out there, and they had phones that had screens on, and we didn't have anything like that in England. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, literally, they had like screens.
Yeah.
So they were well ahead of us on the old technology.
Yeah.
But
let's move forward a few years from back then to where we're going. Whose idea was it to create a Clockwork Orange festival?
Well, I was the one that wanted to push it.
Yeah.
Danny was a little bit apprehensive about it. So we'd had the conversation.
And this was what, 2024?
No, 19.
Was it 19?
Yeah.
The first one was 19?
Yeah.
Whereabouts was that?
Chelmsford.
So it's the same, was it the same venue?
Yeah, we did Chelmsford for 3 or 4. I can't remember after the day. It all gets a bit mashed up because of lockdown.
Yeah, okay.
So it's the dates I can never remember.
So your first outdoor festival was 2019.
Yeah.
And then obviously probably 22, 23.
Oh God, I can't. Do you know what? You totally thrown me now. Can't remember.
Whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was 19.
What was the thought process behind it? And did you have the money behind you to do it, or were you winging it at the time?
You never have the money behind you, really, do you? That's the thing. It's like, I mean, look, we had money in the bank, but we did a party in Studio 338 the year before, and it was Ramo, and we were like, literally, we were kind of like umming and ahhing, then we decided we were going to go for it. But to be fair, that first year, crikey, we sold like about 10,000 tickets in the first. It was mental. It was mental. So money wasn't really a problem then, because it was there was abundance of money everywhere, wasn't there? Well, just pre-COVID, it was everything was easy.
Yeah, I agree.
It was easy, and that was
it wasn't easy. It's only now how hard it is. You realise, look back and go, God, we're having it easier. Off there. Easier. Yeah. And so it was like, it was just everything about, look, I know we're going to talk about this, but
the festivals back then, before COVID, everything was so much cheaper.
Yeah. To put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my costs have gone up
30%.
double, if not treble on some things.
What, and actually put in the infrastructure of the festival, or just
mainly the infrastructure.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the lineup is what it is.
Yeah.
People would think that the lineup is the most expensive thing, but it isn't. It's nowhere near.
It's not at all. To put my festival on cost $2 million.
Yeah, well, we were like,
imagine putting $2 million risk up front. But you remember when I look back now, you see 2019, which we're talking about, 17, 89. An important topic here is cash, physical cash. It was easier to sell tickets because you could go, "Oh, mate, there's 100 tickets, there's 100 tickets. You've got £10 a ticket. Go and sell them. People get cash. Bam, bam. Bring it back to you at the end of the week, and you've done 1,000 tickets quite easily. Now there ain't.
No,
you can't give someone a little tap, and you can't. It's not there. And a prime example of that one, as we're speaking at the moment, no one's going to nightclubs in the UK. So you can't even fly people outside nightclubs or going into nightclubs. The towns and cities are dead.
Yeah.
So it's getting tougher and tougher for us promoters.
Massively.
You know?
And that was the reason why we kind of made the decision to take a break out of it, because we were like, the costs were double. I think like I say, my cost for the last year's Clockstock was over $1 million.
For that, but it was a one-day event.
One-off event, yeah.
So it was one-day event, which I think is really hard, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Because, like, when you compare what festivals are, when I look in, when we were chatting about it last summer, I was like, I was going, Andy, what is it? 1 day, 3 day, 3 day? You were like, no, it's a 1 day. I was like, fucking. So there's no camping. You're like,
no.
There's no upgrade VIP. There was no sponsorship. I was like, Jesus. And you're spending $1 million on it.
Yeah.
And then you've got that's risky.
Yeah. And then you've got the late ticket buyers now, which is a massive problem.
Yeah.
Because we've got graphs on all the years we've done Clockstock, and you can just see it changing. So it would start off like, and then it'd be a steady thing. Yeah. Now it literally goes, and then it goes right at the end.
Yeah.
And we were very lucky last year, because we were like 6 weeks to go. We were like, I think we were 300 grand in debt on it.
Yeah.
And we were shitting ourselves. Yeah. We were like, this is fucking it. You know, this could be over. And we kind of knew the sales were going to come, but we had the problem of like the World Cup.
Yeah.
Or was it the Euros? I can't remember. But England was basically due to play, if they finished on second in the group, they were due to play on the Saturday, the day of Clockstock. Now I didn't even think about it, right? And I was thinking, like, why are these tickets just so slow? And then someone said to me, "Oh, look, I'm not going to come until I know what day England are playing." I'm like, "You what?"
It's horrible, isn't it?
And we had the luck of the gods, because the tickets were going all right, but they just weren't going
as fast as normal,
as we want to.
Yeah.
And then we had a week of blistering sun leading up to the event, and England played, I think, on the Tuesday. They qualified to win the group, which meant they play on a Sunday. I literally sat there 20 minutes after the game had finished and watch it. It just went boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So literally people were waiting for the result of the game to decide whether they were going to go.
As a promoter, that's not a nice place to be.
No, it's awful.
I've been there. You're sitting there going, please don't win that match, because that's going to affect this and this. It's going to affect the timings of the DJs on. It affects everything. We put in our life and soul into that festival, and to spend 18 months nearly on doing them, and then to basically put 15,000 people on a site and break even. Yeah, not worth it.
It's just the risk outweighs the reward. And the thing is, I love doing it, and it is amazing. It is bloody hard work. But like you said, unless something miraculously changes, it's getting tougher and tougher. We had that sort of, after COVID, didn't we? We had that tax break where they dropped the VAT,
5%.
and that was
amazing,
a game changer.
But also after 2020, we lost our festival because we postponed it 3 times because of COVID. 2021, we had the biggest year I've had in my life. Every festival had it off. Correct. 21 was ridiculous. Well, you look at the sums of 21 out of all the festival owners I know, whether it's your Reading, your Leeds, Boom, whatever it was, everyone had it off like double bubble, like net profit, you know. And then you went back to reality again in 22, 23, 24, and 25 is getting harder for everyone. Last year, there was 70 festivals got cancelled in the UK. I know. And I think there's going to be even more at the end of this summer.
But that was kind of my reason for taking this year out. I just wanted to see what, and I don't think my ticket could take it, to be fair.
No, I don't blame you.
It was stressful though. It was, you know, it's worrying, and it's not like, you know, you're not talking about a small amount of money here. You're talking about a hell of a lot of, and it was stressful, and
Well, you're throwing a party for 10, 15,000 people, knowing you're going to lose a pound note or break even. You think, why am I throwing this party on?
Yeah.
All the energy that goes into it to come out with nishta.
I know.
You know, I can see why a lot of promoters are pulling out. But I see some promoters coming into the scene now who are launching festivals this year. I'm like, good luck. You good luck. I would run a mile if I was launching a festival now.
But what I would say, we made the decision to stop it.
Yeah.
And what we kind of decided was we said, let's strip it back to kind of what we was doing pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So we've kind of gone back to our old
roots,
clubs,
yeah,
and spread the events out, and literally everything is selling out.
Yeah, but you'll have more enjoyment. You throw 20 parties instead of one.
Well, Ibiza sold out this year for the first year since pre-COVID already, which is amazing. But that's the thing where I think that festival takes up so much time because you can't really do anything after March and before September.
What month was your festival?
We were June, end of June.
Okay. What made you pick that date?
Do you know the original? Right. So the reason was we did it was because it was at Chelmsford.
Yeah.
And we used the infrastructure that was set up for Ladies' Day.
Okay.
So it was always going to be the Saturday after Ladies' Day.
Did you get a better deal on that? Obviously, you got there. Did you say, right, keep that market, keep that, keep
that? Yeah,
we
split,
go halves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we split the costs of the.
How much did that festival cost you to put on in total?
The first one.
The last one last year in Chelmsford, in total, in production,
$1 million,
DJ,
over $1 million.
So it's $1 million break even.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And when was it? What was the point when you went, I ain't doing this again?
Me and Danny, we spoke about it. We were like, obviously, just we worked so hard to get that over the line. We put in everything we had, and we were just like, it's just not worth doing it anymore, you know, like with the way things are and the cost and everything like that. So it was an easy decision, but like I said, we're not saying never say never, but without kind of, I think, getting in some help, like some sponsorship or a big deal or something to help soften the blow of it. It's one of them, isn't it, you know? But yeah, the exciting decision was made. I'd say it was made before we actually had the party.
Yeah.
You know? But look, I miss it, but I don't miss it was stress.
Yeah.
Very, very stressful. And like, you're in there. Do you know the mad thing is, right? Everyone thinks that the main like stress of it all is like the dealing with like the police and the council, licensing and the
fire,
residents.
The residents. There's everything. And
you have to have 1,000 meetings before you even, you know.
Yeah.
The site setup's the easy bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all the donkey work that's got to be done.
Yeah. Explain to someone Clockwork from 93 up until now. So you had the 7 years of throwing parties. You then stopped in 2000. When did you come back and start throwing parties again on a timeline?
So I think it was 2012. So Danny started putting up, he had all these old pictures from the good old days.
Yeah.
And he started like just putting up loads of Facebook, like big like stacks of pictures in groups. And you could just see everyone was like, oh my God, you know, amazing, what great times, you should do a little reunion and all that. And then a few people started saying to me, oh, you need to do a little reunion. And I was like, so the thing is, hey, I've got to get Danny, you know, I can do it on my own, I can't. So, and we spoke previously about possibly doing it, and he was like, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Anyway, so I rang him up one day and I said, fancy it? And he went, do you know what? I think I do. And that was it really. So we sort of just started getting the ball rolling. We said, let's do something really small. So we got McQueen's in Shoreditch. And we were thinking, oh yeah, you know, we won't go too big. We'll just do, I think it was about 400 or 500. I think it sold out in like a day. We were like, whoa.
We're onto something.
Well, do you know what? We wasn't actually thinking like that at the time. We did the one and then we didn't have another party for another year. Mm. But it just, again, it just organically grew really slowly. And then it was like 2 parties. Mm. Then we were like, it's quite mental. But the good thing is, I mean, I'm not saying I was completely I went on the straight and narrow then, but Danny was like, it was a dream, you know. He was a totally different human being from what he was like, because he was fucking mad. And then he was like, I mean, Danny probably dragged me along because I was like still struggling with this and that and mental health, and Danny was Mr. Consistent.
How do you think Danny looked towards you still bang at it, and he was clean?
I don't think
for that 10-year period where you're trying to run a business,
he wouldn't judge me.
No.
I did used to annoy him at times, but I still pulled my weight. I wasn't like just off the face of the planet. But no, Danny definitely, like, because like I said, where I'm at the clubs and I'm probably off my nut and can't speak to people, Danny was having to, like, you know, control everyone, run the show, and it was literally, someone said there's a problem, I was like, oh, go speak to Danny. You know what I mean? Like, I run a mile.
Tell me some of the DJs that have played for you over Clockwork over the years.
Well, so we obviously all our kind of regulars: Brandon Alex, Torpal Seb, John Kelly, John Please, you know, many all the originals. But the latter days, since the festival, we've had Eric Murillo, Mark Knight, Low Stepper, Hannah Wants, Dave Morales, Roger Sanchez, Bob Sinclair, Masters at Work. So loads.
Amazing.
Absolutely loads.
Amazing. Tell the listener about the Ibiza party this summer. What can they expect? Like from the time you get there, you throw a week of parties. Explain the whole thing.
So we get there. We start off at Café Del Mar, which is supposed to be a soft opening.
Yeah.
Which
like the
just
first night of Stag, isn't it?
Turns into
take it easy tonight.
Well, we did it 2 years ago, the first one with the orchestra, and we were like, oh right, so we'll do a bit of Sunset, and then we'll have a little party upstairs. And I literally was like, what the? It was absolute. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be a regular thing.
Yeah.
So we have Sunset, and then literally everyone just goes upstairs, and it's like straight into the music. Then Thursday we do the boats. So we take 3 boats out, have a little tear up on the sea, and then back. Then on the Friday this year is 528, which I'm really looking forward to because it was the old Benamusa Park, and we haven't done that again since pre-COVID. So looking forward to getting back there. It's nice to do a new venue. I know it's not a new venue, but it's nice to go because people just love it when we do. We do new spaces. Then Saturday, the S Paradis, which is a vinyl only party, this one. So we start, I think that game's about 4 kickoff till midnight. And then the beach, which is the...
I love that beach party.
That's just
That was
best,
amazing, wasn't it? Was it Tanit Beach Club?
Yeah.
Are you going back to Tanit again?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's made for it.
I know.
Absolutely made for it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just like, it epitomises everything about old Ibiza.
Yeah.
Like no VIP.
Yeah.
Well, your beds, but they're not VIP. They're just beds. But it's just being on a beach, free. Anyone can come. Anyone can party, and it's if you've not been, it's magical. One of the most amazing days. I think it's probably the best party that we do all year.
If you were to pick 3 of your best DJs, who would they be over the last 20 years?
Well, I hate to say it because he's my mate and I don't like giving him a big head, but Tall Paul's always my favourite.
He's unreal, isn't he?
Yeah, Tall Paul. I looked up to Paul like when I was coming through the ranks. He was just like, I just like loved like his productions. And I was like, oh, I'd love to be like make music like him. And so he was always, and technically Paul's brilliant.
Yeah. Proper professional.
No, he's just a
professional.
A very, very talented.
We had him
amazing.
on the podcast. 6 months ago, last year or something.
Yeah. And then again, going on previous, like just for me, my personal taste, Eric Murillo.
Yeah.
Like just from back in them sort of like early 2000s, seeing him in Ibiza and it's incredible. Just like some of the things, I mean, what I've seen, witnessed with him at Space on that terrace and that. I've got to pick another one now, haven't I?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick right because he's one of my best mates, but he's one of the most amazing DJs, and he's a guy that goes by the name of Owen Clark. Owen Clark.
Owen Clark. Okay.
Yeah. He is just. He's on my like. So we're both into our techie house, and we love new music, and that man is the most dedicated man to like. He loves it. And he's such a good DJ. So I'm going to pick someone a bit off key.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's known as the Twisted Puffin. So we call him. Yeah, I'm Dr. Phil from the radio, and he's the Twisted Puffin. So we're going to start a new night called Twisted Phil.
Quality.
Yeah, where we give people like 8 hours of just squelchy, dirty beats. Yeah.
Tell me what the future holds for you, Andy.
Well, look, Clockwork's still going from strength to strength. Don't know how many more years we've got left in us, but look,
hopefully loads.
You know
hopefully.
what?
I think there'll be a lot of people upset if you end up stopping that party.
Look, we're not got any plans to do anything, but it's like, look, we just what it is with Clockwork. We just want to keep it magical, because it's very difficult to raise the bar, like, and we seem to be able to do it. That's the crazy thing. Whatever we do, like, it can't get no better, and then it does. But look, just put on amazing shows for everyone. Create, like what Danny likes to say, we want to create magic for everyone. Me on a personal level, I'm in a good place. I'm obviously 16 months sober. It's just been game changing for me with just how I feel in myself and how my mental health is and stuff like that. Because I was in a pretty shitty dark place. And no one sees that, because I paint this picture like when you see me out. It's like I wear a mask, and that's another thing. I'm the man you see at Clockwork Orange or at gigs. He's not the man you see on a Monday morning when I wake up, and and that's the mad thing. You can put it on, like when I have to go on the radio, I have to put on a show, and I put on a show like when I'm out. But when you're back home on a Monday and you're lonely and you're this and you're that after the gigs, it's it can be really hard and lonely,
Andy, I love this, mate. Love your honesty.
Getting deep, aren't we?
Yeah, mate. No, I love your honesty, man. And I mean, even like 14, 16 months in clean, that's powerful. Think about you've been caning it for 30 years, And have you noticed around you your relationships get better with friends and family?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously my marriage ended, God, about 5 years ago. I don't speak to Joe, my ex, and I'm look, it is what it is. I can't. I mean, I want to reach out to her at some point, because I've got two beautiful children. I'm gonna get upset in a minute. I've got two beautiful children, like, with her. They're amazing, like Ellie and Alex, and they're like,
how old are they?
They're 20 and 23 now. But yeah, I mean, look, it's just a shame that it didn't work out. I think it's a lot to do with addiction and all that sort of stuff. But with like Jade, I mean, like she's amazing. Jade, like she's the most beautifulest, loveliest girl on the planet.
If Jade's listening right now, is there any word you got for her?
She's my beautiful princess. That's what I need to say to her. She knows what that means. But she's been so. I mean, look, we've had our ups and downs, I ain't gonna lie, but it needed what happened it needed rock bottom, really, for me to hit rock bottom, to actually think about what I really want in life, and that's the crazy thing. I had, like I said, that Christmas, I had everything I could possibly want, and I basically fucked it up and did stupid things.
Mate, the past is the past, mate.
It is, and that's another big thing.
Like moving forwards now, you're clean.
Look, you can't you can't change the past. You can't predict the future. All you can deal with is basically today, present, what's going on.
But people have got the guilt from the past, and they've got the fear of the future. So it's all about today.
And it is hard, because you can hold on to stuff, and that was another thing I used to do. I'd hold. One of my big problems was when something pissed me off,
you'd hold a grudge.
I'd hold on to it, and I'd take it. Oh, and it was
waste of energy, man.
And what we were speaking about earlier,
mate, waste of energy.
Anything you can't control,
let go.
Don't waste your time on it.
It don't matter.
Have you read Mel Robbins?
No, I haven't.
It's this let them theory, but it's all about that. Yeah, so have a read. It's quality. Andy,
absolutely love this, mate. Where can people find you?
Well, on my socials.
On your socials, old boy.
Okay, do you know, I don't remember. So my my DJ Andy Manston or Andy Manston. If you can't get on the Facebook one because it's full up in it. But and then Clockwork Orange, of course, or Andy Manston on Insta.
Yeah, lovely. Mate, you're a gentleman. I appreciate you coming down here, mate.
Is that it?
Yeah, mate.
How long have we been going on? It feels about 10 minutes.
It feels that way, doesn't it? Hour and 10.
Wow.
Goes quick,
that's
doesn't it?
gone so quick,
Yeah,
man.
mate.
Yeah.
Andy, loved it,
Thank
mate.
you, mate.
Cheers,
I love
pal.
that. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you this summer.
You coming on Ibiza this summer?
Yeah, mate.
Wicked,
I'll be
mate.
popping out.
Yeah.
Good man.
All
Cheers,
the best,
mate.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Bye-bye.
Wicked, mate. Really good. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to see someone on the show, leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, show us a bit of love, press the subscribe button, and it allows us to grow the show even bigger and bigger each week. Nice one.